Morning, this is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. The tiny home was never uncovered this weekend, and all I've done is continuously tried to run the water off the tarp because it keeps pulling and soaking my wood underneath. It has rained on and off all weekend, so I have had lots of trouble with the pulling water on top of this. And I haven't touched it, unfortunately. As I say, all I do is just get the water off that thing, which I'm about to do again in a minute here. We had some severe thunderstorms and continuous rain Saturday and Sunday. I never touched the camera on Saturday, I don't think, maybe but once in the morning. So I'm doing this quick video to tell you what I did on the weekend, and then I can get started with my day. We're gonna get this garbage out of here tomorrow, Wednesday. He's coming for the last of this garbage, so I'm gonna start cutting that up today or tomorrow and get that all piled up neatly off to the side. Started picking at the wood pile here and moving it out of the way on the weekend. Worked in the garden a bit. By the way, I've changed my mind on how this is gonna be. I don't like how this looks. I don't like how it's turning out. So I'm going to I saw some pictures, I was studying a lot online, and I'm going to make 3-foot square boxes out of the 2x4s. Somebody mentioned putting cross beams underneath and 3 points, and that'll raise it off the ground, help prevent rot. What I'm going to do is take these all out bit by bit and make 3-foot square sections and put some facing this way and then some facing this way and alternate back and forth all the way along. It'll look really cool. Yeah, there's Big Mouth getting the word in there. So I weeded out this whole section of the garden, which actually goes really well and easy. This goes very easily. I just sat down, I think this took me maybe 30 minutes, and I planted some of my herbs that I've had sitting around and my sweet leaf, so they'll be able to grow better. Can't even see the sweet leaf in the jungle here. So they'll be able to grow. This stuff pulls out so easily, and then I was tossing in piles of weeds to the chickens. Because this was tilled, it's now all very soft, and because I didn't walk on it, it's not compacted. So it really pulls out nicely here. And it's all wet. I don't want to get all muddy because I'm going to be driving the vehicle in a minute. See, that just comes right out, see? And then that's chicken food. You find the base of the weed and just pull that thing out. Really nice, really easily. So I was just grabbing literally handfuls out here and then shake the dirt off, and that goes out to the chickens. So I went down this section here, and I'll start picking on this on evenings, picking out here and there. And these herbs, I had wanted to put them out in the herb garden, which is beyond the chicken area, and figure out what I was gonna do with that, but I never really got to it, and it's a lower priority. So for this year, they go in here. They can grow and expand, like the catnip has done. Bees are loving this stuff. There are so many pollinators. There are bees and butterflies and everything in here, little flies and insects. So this is a really good plant for attracting bees and stuff. My tomatoes, I had my first tomatoes last night. I didn't show it, but this plant here, I need to get these off the ground, is bearing fruit, and I had 2 very nice tomatoes. That's as big as they get. I don't know what they are, and I don't even know. I think these must have been ones I bought. I can't remember. But very nice tomatoes, and there's some more coming. Where is he? Somewhere in here. There it is. There's that'll be ready in a day or so. So I'm going to start having a ton of tomatoes. And I also have a plan for getting these off the ground as well. I'm going to use some of those 2x4s and make A-frames, and then run the A-frames along at various intervals with string in between. So that'll help them. What else did I do out here? I did all this. Oh, the herb garden. I did some more weeding in here. Oh, and I ate a whole mess of peas. I collected a whole big bowl full of peas. And I've also got beans ready to be harvested. So I've been... Actually, last night's dinner was pure garden vegetables. So I'm now living off my garden. And that is good. I was busy this weekend. I never grabbed the camera. I don't know why. I think because it was raining on and off, and I felt sort of just odd. I don't know what. With the rain, it was almost like depressing. So I just didn't touch the camera at all. Now what I've done is I planted some more of my herbs out here that I had up front by the greenhouse, growing in pots. And I finally got them in the ground. And so what I've got, this will be the herb garden next year. And what I have is, it's going to come around, and I decided not to have there's not going to be any straight rows, so I've sort of come out a little, and then in, and out a little, and then over, just to give it a more pleasing look, because I know straight lines are ugly, I think. So I've got, these are not actually herbs, but they're border plants. This is a potentilla. I don't know what that is, but it was cheap when I bought it in Michigan. This is a barberry, which I read online is edible berries, and this is a dogwood, a yellow twig dogwood, which is medicinal and an invasive species, so I have to make sure I contain him nicely. And then I've been constantly going through and picking bugs off my trees. The Japanese beetles are really bad. So I continuously do a walk around, and something has started hurting my mulberry trees. It's getting a diseased, it almost looks like the apple tree disease, which is extremely bad this year. So I hope it'll be all right. And I planted my blueberry over here next to the big blueberry shrubs so that he can get pollinated next year, cross-pollinated. The blueberry needs another pollinator. So I put him in so he can sink in good roots and bush out nicely throughout the rest of the year. So he'll be happy there. I mowed the lawn I'm walking on, that's right. I trimmed the whole area with my lawnmower. I was busy Saturday. I was really busy. Why I didn't grab the camera, I don't know. I gotta figure a way to kill these trees permanently. They keep growing up all over the place. I don't know what they are and how they're seeding themselves. My roses that I cut off are growing, so I keep pulling back the weeds by hand so I can see what I've got to deal with, and I've got these stakes up as markers so I don't mow them down again. So that was Saturday's work. I still have to figure something out here because the weed barrier rotted in the sun, allowing weeds to come up, which I didn't expect that. I did not know that the weed barrier would disintegrate. It didn't say it on the cover and the label that you cannot leave this exposed to the sun. And sorry, I'm distracted. My rooster was trying to show me that he's boss. Anyway, that is no good. That's really bad. So I have a terrible mess here, and I'm going to have to figure out new plans. So I've been putting the birds in at night because the fence is shorted out all over the place. That's really bad. I lost control when the weed barrier broke through. And that's worse back over there where the sun hits more often. So that's no good. I think that covers it. Did I get anything else? I have been to Harbor Freight. I am going to build my own cabinets out of pallet wood. The pallets that I'm getting for free, which I'm going to go take a run and get some more in a few minutes here. I want to show you what I've been doing just for an idea, I got paid, obviously, and I went and decided kitchen cabinets are going to run me $1,000 to get the cabinetry in my kitchen if I was to buy them. And I figured pallets, wooden pallets. This is a 2x4 from that junk load that I got. So what I'm thinking is, I spent $100 at Harbor Freight. I got about $200 worth of tools for $100 to build $1,000 worth of kitchen cabinets for myself for free. Pallet wood. Pallets look ugly when you first get them, especially the aged ones, the junk ones. They look ugly. But if you take a planer to them, they look beautiful. This is oak. This is amazing. You know, we treat this stuff like garbage. We just burn it and throw it around and dispose of it or whatever. That looks like garbage. It's useless looking. But you hit that with a planer and you've got beautiful wood to work on in your kitchen with. So I'm going to use wooden pallets. I'm going to plane it down. I've got a planer and a belt sander and a tiny little, it's only about this big, table saw for framing. And it's specially designed for framing. And it'll run, it's only uses 100 watts, so I can run it on solar power. So the big table saw will be for ripping big boards, which I will be doing in the future a lot, but I got to get a generator to run it. The little table saw is for framing my cabinets, and that's what it was designed for, and I can run it on solar. So it's going to save me money because I won't be running through tanks of gas on the generator. Just run it on solar. Now here you can see the filthy wood. This is that free wood that I got over at the lumber yard, and you can see when I plane it how it comes out and has colors and patterns. I don't know what the darker is, but it rains, so it's all wet right now. But I was just playing around and testing out the planer. You can see that it goes from that to that. So it goes from that to this. Now here what I did is I tried different layers with a hand planer. I went and I did just one layer all the way across, and then I came down a little bit deeper, and then I came down even a little bit deeper, just to see the layers here of the wood, to get an idea of what I like and how I want my kitchen to look. I'm thinking maybe to keep a little bit of the gray streaks in it to show aged wood, because aged wood is really popular right now. So this is just an experimental board, but I was considering ideas for my cabinets and how I want them to look in the future. And again, experimenting with a piece of oak, and the nail holes, they just add character to your cabinets and your aged wood projects. So I think that's neat, and a lot of people like that look now these days. So yeah, I've got a few tools, and I'm going to start building my own cabinets, saving $1,000. So I thought, yeah, $100 trade-off for $1,000 of cabinets. Perfect. Going to take a lot of time, but you know, it's the spirit of do-it-yourself. So I'm going to go in and get this video up to show you what I did on the weekend. Sorry I wasn't recording the whole weekend, but I don't know. It was raining on and off, so I was running in and out, and I did some shopping, and well, here you have it. Oh yeah, I was busy. Here, I transplanted my mosquito plants. They look happy there. That looks nice. It just makes a huge difference being in that pot. I transplanted them into big pots. That's a bushy plant as it is. So they'll be happy, and they're going to grow better. And I want to put mulch on the in the tops of pots to keep retain moisture. But yeah, I also got to get them out in the sun. I'm probably going to take some pallet wood and build myself a garden table over here next to the greenhouse. I figured what I'll need is a nice little garden table right here for working on plants and repotting and stuff. So, and then I can put some of my potted plants up there for summer, which are going to go inside during the winter. And that's where these guys will sit then, because they're going to be inside in winter. These are not cold hardy plants, so they'll have to go indoors in the winter to keep them safe. Well, I think that covers it. It was a good weekend. Although it rained so much, it was still a good weekend. And I've got some very happy plants now. I forgot to show you one more thing I did. I just flushed up some deer as I was turning on the camera. They were sleeping right here. Right under this edge of this tree. I just flushed them out. I can hear them running up the hill up there. See, this is a deer runway right here. That's deer highway right there. But I was cleaning out the tool camper, the workshop. These are all boxes that I've been keeping. I always keep boxes for a while when I get tools. And I have really been working in here. Now when I cleaned out the old camper that I was living in previously, I just packed this thing. I barely had enough room to walk sideways in here. So just to give you an idea how this was, it was a mess. Because I hurriedly would drive up here with my little garden tractor and unload it into here. And it filled up and I had no room to move at all. So now I've cleared out the whole floor area. By the way, I'll tell you about that in a minute here. And what I've got now is I've cleared off this whole wall. I've got access to all my shelving and tools and stuff. I've got storage. Those are household things and some electronics and some tools and stuff I still have to sort through. And but that's not in the way because I still have access to all my stuff here. Now, what I've got is I have my radial arm saw here, and next to that a workbench. On the opposite side I have a workbench and all my tools underneath. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to put, using that thick wood I got from the lumberyard, the really thick planks, whatever I'm not using in the kitchen. So I'll be planing that down and shaving it in the next couple days here to see what I want to keep and what I don't. But I'm going to take some of that heavy duty wood and come all the way across here and build myself a workbench. And then I'll have storage for tools, for toolboxes underneath. And this will be my electronics and basically experimenting and workbench side. And over here I'm going to come out from the side of that radial arm saw all the way over to the door edge. And that's going to be a big long workbench for all my power tools. The radial arm saw, drill press. I have here, I'm a tool collector, and when I worked for house cleanouts in New York City, I got tons of equipment for free. I've got a Sears Craftsman jigsaw, which needs a blade. I need to look that up. I've got a belt-driven grinder with an old massive powered engine, or electric motor. I need to change that out. I've got an old thin belt sander that I got for $3 at a yards or a flea market in Pennsylvania once. And here is a special tool. This is a belt-driven planer. Now this is a Sears Craftsman heavy, heavy, heavy all cast iron planer. That was an electric drive, belt-driven. And I have a 3-horse Briggs & Stratton gas engine, which I'm going to put on a board next to this if I can get the engine running. There's nothing wrong with this planer. And then I'll be able to plane the bigger planks and boards with this. So that's exciting. And that's a future thing for working on my kitchen cabinets. That is really, really, really heavy. So once I hook that to the engine, I don't know where I'm going to keep it, because I probably won't be able to move it anymore once I do that, unless I put the gas engine in here and exhaust it out to the outside. But that's a project I'm working on, and well, I will be working on. So I'll have this nice workbench in here. As I said, this place, you couldn't move in here. You could not move in here at all. It was so full of junk from when I did the house clean out, or the camper clean out. So now I am putting stuff. It looks a little bit disorganized yet because what I'm doing is putting stuff over here that's going to be under this bench, stuff over here that'll be under that bench, and sorting out what's going to be where. But I can walk in here. I've got floor space. That's good. So now this guy, 2 years ago I had purchased 5 generators for $100. 2 years ago? Yeah, I think it was before I was really popular doing videos. And they've been sitting around forever. And would you believe, here at Sears Craftsman, the other day, Saturday, when I was playing around out here, cleaning I should say, I decided to turn this on and give it a pull, and would you believe the thing fired up? I don't know how old the gas is, I don't know how long that's been sitting around, but that fired right up. That's a 10 horsepower, what is that? Is it a Briggs? Hold on a second. It just says Sears Craftsman, I think, yeah, it's Briggs & Stratton. It's a 10 horse Briggs & Stratton, branded for Sears Craftsman. But that thing fired right up, which caused me problems because in an enclosed trailer, it smoked the place out. So what I did is I dragged it outside, and I couldn't get it on the ground because it's too heavy for me alone. I gotta get the ramps up here. But I dragged it outside the door and fired it up, and I tested, and there's no power. The generators I had gotten from that guy all had something wrong with them. And this one, the generator doesn't work. Engine's fine, generator doesn't work. So that was just one of the many of the 5 generators I got that time. Now that old red one, that ran. You guys remember me using it last year on a job site until the carburetor gave up the ghost. That was the end of that. And that one was perfect. So I don't know how hard it is to swap generator heads on engines, but maybe I can mix and match and get something to work. But anyway, 10 horse Briggs & Stratton horizontal shaft engine is always useful to have around, and that's why I bought the 5 generators back then. Back then I wasn't thinking about generators, I was thinking about engines. $20 for an engine? That's nothing. So that's going to have to go out in my carport, so it's out of here and I have more room to work in. Now I think I'm done showing you what I did on the weekend.